Welcome into One of One Sports. The first weekend of the March Madness tournament is over. Everyone's back bracket is busted. There's no perfect brackets remaining, unfortunately. So today we're going to do a second chance tournament bracket. I definitely need it. My bracket not performing too well. It's funny. I made a bunch of brackets just because I enjoy doing it, but I made one like initial first reaction, and that one's actually like in the not like low 90s percentile, like a pretty good bracket. And then I did one after I did all the research, and that one is performing so much worse after doing more research into the smaller schools, teams I didn't watch. My initial bracket is doing much better. But now we'll do a Sweet 16. We'll kind of go over as we're doing it what I've thought of these teams, their performances so far, what surprised me, things like that. And just getting right into it in the South, Auburn over Michigan. This was probably I fully expected Auburn to be here, and no one was picking them to lose to a 16 seed, and then I had them beating Louisville in the round of 32. It ended up being Creighton, but they actually haven't been super impressive. I thought they would look a little bit better against the 16 seed. They still won by 20, but a bit disappointed. And then Creighton pushed them more than I thought they would for long stretches of the game. Ended up pulling away. Michigan, on the other hand, was like because I root for Michigan. I was very happy to be wrong. I thought they were gonna lose in round one to UCSD because they would have a lot of turnovers, and overall they've just been an inconsistent team in the back half of the year. They had super high highs winning the Big Ten championship, but it also had some really low lows. And it seems that Big Ten momentum had carried over as they got off to a great start that allowed UCSD back in the game. But this Michigan team finds a way to win close games, and at this point, I'm actually really liking this team. And I'll talk about it more later, but I am going to pick them to beat Auburn. Auburn does not have an incredible amount of size to limit the Wolf Golden duo. Trey Donaldson has been extremely clutch this tournament, and he's going up against his old team in Auburn. I expect a big game. Like I said, Auburn was looking a little rocky at the end of the SEC. We're basically just coming into the tournament, right? Losing I think what is it, three of their last four because they lost to Tennessee in the tournament. Before that, they lost to A&M and they lost to someone else. I'm forgetting Alabama, right? So they lost three of their last four coming in and have looked a little shaky. Meanwhile, Michigan had all the momentum in the world coming in, winning the Big Ten tournament. Maybe not all the momentum because the end of the season, but you know what I mean. They've been on a roll. They have good size. I think can give Broome some problems and Auburn problems overall. And they've just playing so well. And I don't expect Auburn to blow them out. And like I said, Michigan has been amazing in close games. If there's not a close one, I think they can pull it off and beat Auburn. And I'll talk about a little bit more later when something comes up why I'm picking Michigan. But coming down here, between Ole Miss and Michigan State, this one's actually funny because Michigan State is favored like general betting lines, I believe. But on ESPN Bet, it says they have Ole Miss favored by 2.5, which is actually quite surprising. And I've been super impressed with Ole Miss. What they did to Iowa State, they blew out Iowa State. I know it looked a little bit close at the final score. That game was crazy, and they pretty much handled UNC. I picked UNC against them, and even if they beat UNC, I would have picked Iowa State against them. They handled both those games. Michigan State got pushed by Bryant, got pushed by what's the team? Who am I blanking? Oh, New Mexico. New Mexico pushed them. I think Ole Miss the best of the teams they've had so far. The best coach, Chris Beard's just a great tournament coach. Padula's been extremely clutch. And I'm going, this is my upset region here. I'm going with the two lower seeds in Ole Miss and Michigan. Obviously, I'm picking the lower seeded Big Ten upset here, the lower seeded SEC upset here. It could easily look like this. In that case, I do think Auburn would win. I think it's a bad matchup for Michigan State. If it was like this, I would go Michigan State based off how that looked during the Big Ten season. But I am going to have it like this, and we'll come back to that game in a second. Here, I just don't think Maryland has the depth to beat this Florida team. And I know Florida struggled against UConn. I will say, the free throws for Florida seem to be a problem. The last game I remember them losing to Georgia was also because of free throws that could have come back to bite them against UConn. And this Maryland team did just hit that buzzer beater shot. Also, I know a lot of people are saying it's a travel. One, real time, that would have been a crazy call for the official to make because I don't think in real time it looked like a travel. Two, I do think like on replay, probably technically a travel. I think he probably picks it up. It's not a gather step, that first one. He put his foot down after he picked up the ball. But you don't start calling travels like that type of travels, on the last play of the game. If you're going to call travels, there are way more calls that need to be made the rest of the game. You can't make that call, in my opinion. And additionally, the call you should have made was to throw Colorado State's best player, Clifford, out of the game. That elbow, interviewing him at post game while he's saying it's an accident, while it's showing the clip of him looking at the guy throwing the elbow, was just insane. Can't believe that was not reviewed. He should have been out of the game. All in all, I thought Maryland deserved to win that game. And I do think they're the best 4 seed and a really dangerous team. But Florida has the size to deal with the duo of Queen and Reese, having guys like Condon and what I'm forgetting the H. The center starts with an H that came back. Aberdeen, lots of big guys for Florida. More depth against a Maryland team that's real strength is just the starting five. I think Florida wins this. And Texas Tech versus Arkansas. I need to look something up real quick, actually. All right, Texas Tech, Arkansas. I had to look up real quick. I wasn't sure if Adu Thiero is playing for Arkansas, and I couldn't find definitive information, but it looked like it's likely that he is, which is a big boost. He was their leading scorer on the season. Additionally, I was looking at it seems like Chance McMillan probably will be able to play, but again, I thought he would be back sooner. So health a big factor in this because Thiero gives Arkansas a boost, McMillan gives Texas Tech a huge boost, but I'm not very impressed with this Arkansas team. I don't think they were one of the better, or I don't think they're a particularly strong 10 seed. Like I know the broadcast in a St. John's game was implying that, but I thought St. John's, when you have the Big East Player of the Year play as bad as he did and RJ Lewis getting benched, when you have Kadmari Richmond only being able to play 15 minutes a game, when you have St. John's having a historically bad shooting performance and they're still right there in that game, I was not super impressed with Arkansas. Much more impressed with Texas Tech so far. I thought they played well against Drake. UNC Wilmington gave them some problems, but I thought UNC Wilmington's a good team. Just so much shooting on Texas Tech, and I will go with the Red Raiders. Back up top here, this is the matchup I'm most looking forward to of any Sweet 16 matchup. Duke looks like an absolute juggernaut. What they have in flag, Knipple, Malawach, the way Proctor's playing. And now, how do you say his name? Gungba playing really well in a depth role. I'm pretty sure Malik Brown's not coming back, but if he did, they get even better. Sion James, really good defensive guard. You know all about Duke. They're just a juggernaut. But Arizona played pretty well after a rocky start, like going down 19-4, played really well against Oregon. Caleb Love looks hot, and I will say, I don't think there's any player in the country who looks across at Duke and is like, yeah, I got this, more than Caleb Love. What he was able to do in his time at Carolina against Duke in some of the biggest spots, there's probably no player you rather have on your team. But ultimately, Duke is too much for them. I hope it's a really good game. Carter Bryant's improved a lot since their first matchup of the season. I hope we get some matchups of him versus Cooper Flag. That'd be fun. Hopefully you get good Caleb Love. It's just a great game. But yeah, I picked Duke originally in my original bracket. I'm not sure if I'll keep it, but they do look great right now. This one, another weird one because yeah, ESPN bet favors BYU, but I know that BYU is not favored in this game overall. Both these teams have well, no, BYU outperformed what I thought they would. I had VCU in this spot. Yeah, I had VCU in this spot. I thought they could beat BYU and then beat Wisconsin. And then I did have Alabama here. And Alabama has looked pretty good. This game you would expect to be super high scoring. Alabama plays most possessions per game of the country. BYU likes to take a lot of threes. They're shooting it really well. But I do like the Crimson Tide here to give us a 1-2. I think the style BYU plays and the style Alabama plays, if you're getting into a shootout, I think that favors Alabama. That's the style they're looking to play. I'm not expecting BYU to beat Alabama at their own game, even though BYU does look really good. And let me see, where's this game at? Because I will say one thing about BYU was getting to play in Denver was a huge advantage for them, in my opinion. Now playing in New Jersey, you lose that. I like Bama here. Coming down, and this is why, there's no way I'm taking Purdue. I think Purdue was one of the weaker 4 seeds, but Clemson ended up being one of the weaker 5 seeds, losing to a 12. So you got an easy second round, and you were able to get by a high point team that actually gave you a little bit of problems. I think Houston, way too physical for Purdue. Braden Smith will struggle. They rebound so much better than Purdue. Their defense so much better than Purdue. They shoot it better than Purdue. There's no way Houston's losing this game. This would be like my lock of yeah, out of all these games, this is my lock right here. If I get this wrong, you guys come back and make fun of me. But there's no game I'm more confident in than Houston Purdue, and that's ultimately why I am going to take Michigan, kind of, sort of, because that's the only one seed I can really see losing. And I know that this bracket has been really chalky, but it's just hard for me to believe that this bracket will be chalk all the way through. The first round had no top four seeds go down, which is crazy. Almost always at least one or two of those. So yeah, I think we got to get some more upsets at some point. So I didn't want all ones in the Elite Eight. Auburn's the one I could see closest to going down. So that's why I went with Michigan. And then, oops, Tennessee, Kentucky. Kentucky's beat Tennessee both times they played this year. Pretty close games. But Chaz Lanier, the way he's playing as an X factor for Tennessee, he's scoring so well. And when he is scoring, Tennessee is so much more dangerous. I think third time's the charm. The Volunteers win. I know out of these teams, like Purdue, I didn't expect to be here. Houston, I did. Kentucky, I did. Tennessee, I had losing to UCLA, and they crushed UCLA. I was really impressed with that. I think Tennessee makes it to Elite Eight. So we have 5-6, 1-2, 1-2, 1-3, relatively chalky, and then one like not chalk whatsoever. So coming back up top, I am gonna go like these teams. I think would for sure be a close game, but Michigan has so much more size than Ole Miss with Golden and Wolf. I think that would actually give the Rebels a lot of problems. So I do like the Wolverines to the Final Four and kind of a crazy run by them in this year's sleeper team at this point, is these are the two lowest teams left in the bracket for me. Florida, Texas Tech. I think Texas Tech is too undersized. Like you're playing JT Toppin as your big. He's probably like going to be the third biggest guy on the court at times against Florida. So the rebounding, I would expect going to be a big problem. I think Texas Tech would have to shoot so well from deep, which they are capable of, but it's not something I can count on against a defense as good as Florida. I like Florida there. And then, like I said, Duke's just a juggernaut. They're so good defensively and offensively. They have the perimeter defenders to guard Alabama. They can play fast if they want. They can control the pace if they want. They have rim protection in flag and Malawatch. They have perimeter defense. They have shooting. It's really hard for me to see Alabama winning this game. Give me Duke. And then Houston, Tennessee, kind of like mirror images of themselves. And I'm sure you'll hear this everywhere. Sorry. Tennessee is like a slightly worse version of Houston. They're going to do similar things in terms of tempo, slow down the game, physical defense, but Houston's going to shoot it better. They're going to guard a little bit better. They're going to rebound a little bit better. Just everything like 5% better than Tennessee. So for that reason, I have to go with the Cougars. And we have 3 1s and a 5 in San Antonio. And this is interesting because Houston, obviously from Texas, getting sort of a home court advantage here against Duke is really interesting. And then Michigan, this would be where it ends for me. Florida, like I said, has all the size in the world to throw at Golden and Wolf, which is a big advantage Michigan has on most teams. Don't think they have that here. And I could see Florida winning this game pretty comfortably. They're in my championship game, as they were before. My original Final Four, I had UCLA, don't ask, Duke, Florida, and I had Auburn making it, but now I've switched that to Michigan because I've been impressed with this Wolverines team. And then Duke, Houston, home court is a big factor here. Houston able to win the Big 12 title without Roberts. Duke able to win it without Flag. But yeah, Duke's going to have the best player on the court in Cooper Flag. You got more NBA talent, which I know doesn't really factor in here, but their defense nearly as good as Houston, but with more size, more reliable shooting, just better players overall. I just think this is Duke's year. I'm going with them to beat Florida as well. This would be a great matchup. Walter Clayton has been awesome. They've got the bigs and Condon, but Duke has the bigs and Malawatch and Flag. Sion James trying to lock up Clayton would be awesome as well. I really hope this is the national championship. I think will make for the best game. But yeah, Duke is just the best team. They look like a juggernaut right now. I picked them originally. I'm picking them now, and we'll say 175 points are scored, and that is my second chance March Madness bracket. Let me know how did your bracket do? If you're doing a second chance, who do you have now? Did it change? Make sure to leave it all in the comments section down below. If you made it to this point in the video, make sure to give it a like, subscribe. Until next time.